So, Assalamu alaikum, welcome to our virtual iftar of 2021. And thank you for joining us today. My name is Huda and I'll be hosting you this evening. We have an exciting event planned today with Dr. Mehmet from the Yunus Emery Institute. But before we get started, I'd first like to thank our media partners for this year of Islam Channel and give a special welcome to those joining us from Islam Channel's Facebook and YouTube. It's a pleasure to have you all here today. I also want to thank the Arts Council UK, who's helped allow us to continue our work in Ramadan, all of which is available on our website. Our work in Ramadan is supported by Islamic Relief, our charity partner, and you can check out incredible work with Islamic Relief at iruk.co/RTP. So our virtual iftars are meant to be interactive, so we'd like to encourage everybody to hop onto the Zoom meeting, and for those who are comfortable to turn on your cameras so we can all see you. So we'll begin with a quick run-up on the tech. You'll find a button on your screen or at the section on your phone that says more. You can see a reaction button, so you can show us how you feel in real time. If you want to discuss anything, you can click the raise hand option and one of our teams will actually get back to you and we can unmute you so you can talk or add any discussion points. You also have the chat. We'll be checking the chat, so you can also use that. Jazakallah khair. But first, I'd like to get to know a bit more about your Ramadan. So Shabana, tell me a bit about your Ramadan. Where are you right now? How's Ramadan going? What are you eating for iftar?
Salam Huda. I am in London. I'm in Wimbledon at the moment. Ramadan's going really well, alhamdulillah. I feel like the weather's right this year. It's over halfway, but I feel like it's going too fast. I wish it would slow down so you can, I don't know, just enjoy it more, but happens every year. It goes really fast. For iftar, having aubergine potato curry, which my sister made, and we did a food swap when we met for an iftar the other day, which is the only way to kind of do iftars at the moment, sit outside, outdoor eating, and food swaps. How are you? How's your Ramadan going?
It's not too bad. I think the days are a little bit longer than I'm used to because I'm in Scandinavia, but it's actually quite nice. Food swap sounds lovely. So what did you give her?
I actually didn't cook. I cheated. So I actually went and got some pastel de natas from Cafe de Nata because I went past there. So I cheated. But I didn't. I cooked skimmer peas the week before and did a food swap that way. And then my other sister made a amazing olive cake, which was delicious. And so yeah, it's good.
What's the olive cake?
It's odd. I don't know the exact title of it. I should know. I hope she's not listening and she'd be like, you don't know what cake I made. It was phenomenal. It had olive oil in and orange. It was meant to be red with orange, but it was good. I'm not describing it very well, but it was delicious. But there's always too much food, which isn't good either.
Yeah, I understand that. But I feel like by the end of the month, you just get to this point where you're just eating leftovers and they're like really good leftovers. That's not the worst.
Yeah, a few of my iftars have been just finishing off leftovers in the past few days. And it's a weird one. You get into your routine with Ramadan and you do it your whole life that you just kind of know. When people ask you, like non-Muslim friends and colleagues, it's always trying to explain to them that because you've just done it literally from the day you're born, as in grown up in families, it's part of your life, so it's kind of like the routine, you know what to do. So yeah, it's good. I'm enjoying it.
That's lovely. Sarah, how's your Ramadan going?
My Ramadan has been going okay, alhamdulillah.
How's in Turkey?
It's okay. We've just gone into complete lockdown now here in Istanbul, so we're actually across all Turkey. So it was like the last day of freedom until maybe a week or so after Eid. So I'm feeling a bit sad about that because I have spent Ramadan here before pre-COVID and it was really, really beautiful. And Eid obviously is really nice out here, but obviously this year it's just everything's closed, complete lockdown. You can't travel, can't do anything. Shops are closed, everything's closed. So it's a bit, you know what? It's great because it allows you to just focus on your worship.
Yeah. What are you having for iftar today?
Today we already had our iftar.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I had steak, actually. with some toppings. Yeah, quite nice.
Nice, lovely. What about you, Faiza? How's your iftar? How's Ramadan going for you? Okay. So I'm just going to introduce our guest speaker for today. So our guest speaker, so today the theme we're going to be discussing is cross-cultural relationships between Britain and Turkey. We'll be joined by our guest speaker, Dr. Mehmet Karakas. So he's completed a PhD in politics at Newcastle University and previously completed a master's in European Union Studies and is now the director of Yusuf Emery Institute. Yunus Emre Institute was first established in 2007 and is a Turkish worldwide institute for educational opportunity and cultural relations. It aims to promote Turkey's culture and language and has now got 60 branches worldwide. The London branch of Yunus Emre, opened in 2010, has been running for 10 years now. So how's your iftar? Dr. Mehmet, tell us a bit more about it and tell us a bit more about your work at Yunus Emre.
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First of all, I would like to thank you, the organizers of Ramadan 10 Project and Open Iftar. And it is a privilege for us to be here and to talk about the cross-cultural Ramadan between UK and Turkey. Obviously, Ramadan, when compared to Turkey, it's a bit, the days are a bit longer in here than Turkey. But cooler, obviously, especially when towards summer or the summertime. It's a bit difficult in Turkey because it's really hot in some part of Turkey, obviously. And Ramadan in here, and Alhamdulillah, we are very fortunate. We are mobile, as Sarah mentioned a few minutes ago. In Turkey, they are doing a lockdown, and so they are a bit unlucky for them. But in here, Alhamdulillah, we are all doing well. And in iftars, in Turkish cuisine, obviously, is very rich. And my wife is coming from Western Turkey, and so she mostly used to cook vegetables, and I like vegetables. And so we are having aubergine and soup and salad and obviously some dessert. But this is not Turkish style, made from sweet potatoes that is very similar to actually kind of I don't know what you call it, but in Turkey we have a kabak tatlısı. And this is a pumpkin style. Very, very nice, actually. You can try.
That sounds really lovely.
Yeah.
Makes me hungry now. So tell us a bit about you and your work at Yunus Emery. Tell us a bit more about Yunus Emery, please.
Yeah, Yunus Emre Institute in London opened its door in 2010. So we have been running almost 10 years now. So in the Yunus Emre Institute, as you mentioned, Turkey's worldwide cultural organization, our main aim is to enhance Turkey's visibility and also to increase the number of people who feel connected to Turkey. This is the main goal of our institute. So the visibility increased by the number of people who can, if they feel connected to Turkey, everything, all our activities, the cultural, educational, scientific activities based around this is to enhance Turkey's visibility around the world, and reliability and reputation is connected to these activities. So in London, we teach Turkish mainly as one of the main activities of the center, teaching Turkish as a foreign language, as a second language. So we have obviously currently running our courses online But in the past, before the pandemic, we used to run courses face to face, and we now everything went online. So the courses or art and culture courses at the same time is running online. Obviously, some of the activities has been limited. For example, in the past, we used to do the concert exhibitions, Turkish cuisine, but all has had to be stopped at the moment. We only do educational activities currently in London, and also most of the places around the world at the moment. Everything is online. So Yunus Emre Institute is managing Turkey's cultural relations abroad mainly, and we have around 60 branches in 50 countries. So we have been in many parts of the world at the moment, concentrated on the Balkans and Africa, but we have been in many parts of the world at the moment. So when you said Yunus Emre and the institution is named after him, who is Yunus Emre? Probably I can just mention before I discuss the cross-cultural relations. Yunus Emre is one of the famous Turkish poets, lived at the end of 13th century and the beginning of 14th century. And he is not only a poet, but also Sufi, a humanist, and he used Turkish as a main language in his poems. And so he developed Anatolian Turkish, as a classical Anatolian Turkish, and his using of Turkish and in the writing poems, in obviously not writing, because mainly he just tell the poems, but his followers actually collected his poems, and these poems has been composed now and for many centuries as ilahis. We are chanting, and it's very famous in Turkey and around the world. So his poems as ilahis has been listened by many people. So Yunus, I'll just probably tell a few lines from his poems, and probably it will shed light to our discussions today. He said, I'll tell in Turkish and afterwards I'll translate into English. For example, ilim bilmektir, ilim kendin bilmektir. Sen kendin bilmezsen bu nice okumaktır. That means the reason for studying is to know one's self. If you don't know yourself, what good is this studying? So the main reason for studying or gaining knowledge is to know yourself. So if you know yourself, and so you know people, and you understand the feeling of the people, so that's the important thing, is learning, attaining ilm and studying is knowing yourself. And another one is İşidin ey yarenler, aşk bir güneşe benzer. Aşk olmayan gönül meseli taşa benzer. This is very important because we talk about love. He says, listen, oh friends, love resembles the sun. The heart without love resembles the stone. That's a very a good, strong message from him. And finally, I will probably read this. 72 millet 72 millete bir göz ile bakmayan şer'in evliyasıysa hakikatte asidir. That means those who do not regard 72 nations as the same, even they are a saint, they are to be considered an outlaw in reality. That means obviously 72 nations is a kind of saying in Turkey for the whole nations. So that means if you don't see anybody as the same, then you are not. You are actually, even if you are a saint, you are nothing. You are like a person in reality as an outlaw person. That's very important. Another similar one is aksakallı bir hoca bilmez ki hali nice, emek yemesin hacca bir gönül yıkarsa. This is very important for the people to people relations today, interaction between relations, that he's saying an elderly man with a white beard come to know what his situation is. He should not waste his time for the pilgrimage if he has broken a heart. So it doesn't matter how old and how good you are. If you broke one's heart, then you are nothing. So you don't need to go to Hajj. So the Hajj is nothing for you. It doesn't actually cover your sin. Breaking someone's heart is seen by him as the biggest ever sin. So this is the Yunus Emre. This is the philosophy of our institution. So to actually give his love and understanding and widespread his love understanding to anywhere we touch. So I think this is an introduction of the Yunus Emre and Yunus Emre Institute. Now I can talk about a bit more the traditions of Ramadan in Turkey. If people listening from Turkey or watching us from Turkey, obviously they know what I'm talking about. But obviously, if someone not very familiar, then they will see what our Turkish tradition of Ramadan. Obviously, when you are talking about Turkey and Turkishness, the food is one of the first things come to our mind. The Turkish food obviously has a very good recognition around the world, and Turkish restaurants in many parts of the world, even in London, in different parts of the UK, is very famous. But obviously, when we talk about the Turkish food in the West, they are mainly seen as centered around the meat products. But obviously, Turkish cuisine is very vibrant. Recently, we introduced, launched a book, a Turkish cookbook. It has about around 700 recipes. Only probably 10% of it relates to meat products, but the rest of them is very different, from grain, vegetables, sweet, and lots of other things. And the writer of the books, a famous chef in Turkey, has collected around 1,200 recipes from different parts of Turkey. He only published only 700 of them. So there will be another books coming probably later in his actually lifespan. So in Ramadan, sweet is very important in Turkey, especially goulash, one of the famous Ramadan sweets, because rose water is being used in that sweet with milk, and rose water makes very famous goulash in Turkey, and you can find everywhere in Ramadan. And pide is one of the famous one. It's just you can buy from the bakeries before the iftar time. Is very warm with black onion seed and sesame seed. Smells very nice, very thin bread, and very delicious, especially in Turkey. In every home you can find pide, Ramazan pides. We call Ramadan pidesi. is for especially Ramadan. Yes, you can find in different times, but made especially for Ramadan. So sharing the food is one of the most important thing in Ramadan. Obviously, we can see from here and in every Muslim countries, Ramadan is sharing and caring. So whatever you cook at your home, you share with your neighbors, as there's a tradition in Turkey. But obviously, in modern times, it is difficult. The neighborhoods practices has changed because of the modern life. But still in small towns and some neighborhoods, sharing the food between families is very common. Apart from that, obviously, especially the municipal organization, municipalities, mayors, set up Ramadan tents, like as you did in the SOAS in the normal times before the pandemics. Ramadan tents or iftars in neighborhood is very common in Turkey. Apart from actually having family friends in your home, obviously people who has less fortunate that then they can go and eat in those places. This has been supported mainly local organizations, charities, municipalities. Is very famous in Turkey at the moment, and you can find everywhere. But during the pandemic, obviously, now only packed food has been distributed by the charitable organizations and municipal organizations. This is the one thing that I can mention, and also we can see that in the UK, lots of charities and the mosque has been doing similar kind of works. Alhamdulillah, I see lots of advertisement from the different mosques. They are distributing packed iftars and because people may not have the opportunity to buy foods or not able to cook themselves. So this is very important aspect. So these are the resemblance between UK and Turkey. One of the things that I mentioned, Enderun Teravih, the Teravih prayers. Obviously, Teravih is special to Ramadan, as everybody knows. So it can be prayed after the Isha. In Turkey, in some big mosque, we call Salatin Mosque, the Tarawih conducted in a different manner. We call this Enderun Tarawih. It first started in the 18th century at the Ottoman palace, Ottoman court, by Buhurizade Mustafa Itri Effendi. Mustafa Itri Effendi's composition is very famous. Salawat, we call it. Allahumma salli ala. This is a very famous one. It's composed by Utri and chanted in different part of words, seen for a couple of 100 years now as the same composition. So I think his first idea, the Enderun Tarawih, because the Tarawih prayer is a long prayer. One Hafiz actually leading the prayer is obviously the whole Quran recited in 30 days. So the Enderun Tarawih, muezzins and imams in cooperation, muezzin at first give azan and qama in different maqam, and then before the Tarawih starts, they start singing ilahis and salawat. So like a concert, you feel you are at the concert. So muezzin start with the rast maqam at the beginning, and imam recite Quran in that maqam. And after the first set of 4 rakat, the muezzins, a group of muezzin, start singing in ilahi, in ras makam, and they afterwards they recite salawat in second makam, with the ushak makam. So imam start with ushak in the second set of 4 rakat, and read the Qur'an in ushak makam. And after the second set of 4 rakat, muezzins recite another ilahi, sing an ilahi in ushak, and afterwards they give instruction to imam in sabah or newa with this reciting the salawat. And so it goes like this. And fourth set is Evij, and fifth set is Ajamashiran, and also the Salatul Witr become a Sega. So it's a very different experience. If anybody been to Istanbul and experienced that tradition in some mosque, you feel yourself relaxed and you enjoyed a lot from praying Tarawih. So this the reason why it's been actually discovered is to people get more pleasure from their ibadah, their prayer. And so I think that's enough, and I'll give another example of the traditions of Ramadan in Turkey. Is the zimam, we call it zimam defterleri. People, low-income families, or less fortunate people, buy their from local shops, bakkals, and also they pay at the end of the month or in quarterly, whatever. So the trader, the owner of that shop, the local shops, put all those bills into a book, like the credit books, the debt books. So people are buying on credits, and at the end of the month, either they pay or they pay half or whatever. Obviously, the debt sometimes accumulates, and during the Ramadan time, wealthy people from different neighborhood comes to another neighborhood and goes to any bakkal, any local shop, and ask the books if there is any debt books, zimam books. He asks that book, and either he pays all of them or he pays as much as he can. So that means those less fortunate people or low-income families that's paid by someone nobody knows. Even the owner of the shop doesn't know, because he comes from different neighborhood. Wealthy people in the same neighborhood goes to different one. If in the same neighborhood, the owner of the local shop will know who pays that, and obviously this important of the sadaqah is if you pay, then you don't just tell, or so nobody knows who pays. That's been kept for many years now. In Turkey, this tradition still exists, and during the Ramadan time, you can see in a local shop's shop window saying the book of debts has been paid someone. So whoever owes something to them, so to the local shop, the debt has been cleared. So it's very obviously exciting for the families who actually burdened by the debts. So these are the things. Obviously, in current times, the Ramadan sohbets, the speaking talks, or any kind of activities is very difficult running in physical in Turkey, and also in here is we are all limited by the current rules and conditions. In TVs, in every channel, because Turkey has got lots of private channels, hundreds of them, and they run lots of programs parallel to each other, iftar and sahuri programs, and people benefit from them. lots of alims, ulamas, scholars on the screen tells about the beauties of Islam and the issues and the problems. So people benefit from those things, and also lots of other entertainment programs well underway in TVs. In normal circumstances, in the physical atmospheres, obviously people used to go after Tarawih, the places, the kahwes, coffee houses, or the concert places, or open air concerts. But no, it's not possible. But this has been rectified by obviously TVs. The last little things I would like to talk about is encouraging young children to learn fasting. We call it is technology. As I mentioned before, it's difficult to translate into English. Do-tray fasting. That means because young children, whenever they feel hungry, they go and pinch bread from just the boxes or trays, wherever it's being kept. That's why it's called technology. Whenever you feel hungry, you just start eating, getting some sort of bread. So what they do, the families, encourage your children, if you fast until Zuhur, for example, or Asr, then I will give you something in turn, a present. So obviously young children are very excited about this, and they actually wake up for sahuri. They eat with the family, and the next day until Zuhur or Asr, they fast, and whenever he actually feels hungry, start eating. That's how they actually start teaching how to fast. I think that would be enough currently. If any questions, then I will do my best to answer them.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for sharing all your beautiful traditions in Turkey. So my first question is kind of more about Turkish food. So in the group chat, you can see that we have a lot of fans of Turkish food. So,
Yeah.
you know, you mentioned that there's a 700 recipe cookbook that was released that truly represents the Turkish culture. So first of all, what's your favorite recipe in that book?
Lots of them, but obviously I learned one thing from that book. You can actually, that's a kind of style you can cook. So you in that book, it teaches a style. Obviously, you can change the ingredients. I couldn't remember the name actually in English name, but if you learn that style, then you cook lots of dishes at the same tradition, because how you do is you put ingredients on certain order, and when you put the lid on, put the heat on, then you don't touch anything. It's very slow cooking, and at the end it comes very delicious. If I remember the name of the style, then I will let you know later on. Obviously, my favorite one is the musakka. Probably some of you know the patlıcan musakka is one of the best meat and vegetable mix of cooking. This is my best. Actually, I like. Obviously, sweets in that book. A chapter you can find different sweet. So I like most of them, especially the tavuk göğsü. It's called chicken breast. So when you think how you make a sweet from chicken breast, you can have a look at that. Actually, you can search on internet as well. Chicken breast sweet. We call it tavuk göğsü. It's very famous. It's a milky kind of sweet. I don't know whether it's existed in your culture or in different culture, or the people who are participating in here. I'm not sure, but this is very famous in Turkey. Whichever sweet shop you go in Turkey, if you ask tavuk göğsü, you can get a beautiful one.
Sounds lovely. So in the group chat, Hawazin said, is it the Turkish Cookbook by the chef Musa Dig?
Dağdeviren. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. Is that the one?
It is the one, yeah. It is very famous. Musa is one of the famous food anthropologists at the same time. So he's not only chef, but also he's researching the local recipes. And he's been to London. We had a program 2 years ago with him. So yes, his cookbook, you can find lots of good recipes in that book.
Thank you. So Ale, you spoke about Sufism and how it's influenced Turkish culture. Can you speak about that a little bit more?
Yeah, of course. Sufism in Turkish culture is one of the most influential tradition. It's actually because Turkish Sufis from starting from Central Asia, because when we talk about Turkish Sufi traditions, we are not only talking about the Anatolian Sufis, but the Sufis from Central Asia to Turkey, especially the Naqshbandis, the Naqshbandi traditions. There are many Turks in their chain, but also others in Anatolian Sufi traditions, Qadiris, Mevlevis, especially from Mevlana Jalaluddin Rumi is one of the famous one, Jarrahis, Ushakis, Qadiris. There's all the traditions existed in Turkey and still very influential in cultural terms. For example, the Ahi traditions is a Sufi tradition that existed mainly the traders, people who are actually in trade. The Ahi traditions actually controls the manners of those traders, especially the small traders. They are all belong to local lodges, and those lodges regulates their conduct. For example, very famous story during the Fatih Sultan Mehmet's time. I think Fatih just been to the traders in civil uniform to see how their actually Teba is doing. The people, the traders, the shopkeepers are doing, how their manners are. And went to one shop and buy something, and the other one. And when he went to other one, he said, I did some actually interactions today. So my neighbor hasn't done anything. So nobody has been to them. Please go there and buy something from him, not me. So this is kind of things, for example. So they care each other. They are not in competition. They are in cooperation. They look after themselves. So they don't say, I earn more, and I actually do discounts and sell more. It's not like that. So these Ahi traditions, for example, very existed among the traders. Still, there are. It's not the same name, but obviously this understanding the beliefs and the ethics of the trading is existed among the locals most of the time. So the Sufi tradition is still very active. Ilmiya, for example, the scholars or sometimes in high-ranking officials. But obviously, this does not mean that belonging to some the traditions doesn't actually take you away from the order. So you first of all, in the whatever you do, your superior are your work people. You are ethically belong to those traditions. In operationally, you are belonging to wherever you work. So there are some obviously misunderstanding or manipulation in recent times because of the bad experience in Turkey in 2016, the coup attempt. Those people, especially belonging to certain sects, actually manipulated lots of things, and so the Sufi traditions actually affected by those mischievous.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that with us. So Shabana has a few questions. If you don't mind unmuting yourself, Shabana.
Yeah, sorry, I have 2 questions officially now. Thank you very much for your talk, firstly, and thank you for your time. I feel like I've learned a lot this evening about Turkey. My first question is that you mentioned there was a Ramadan P-Day as well as in addition to the traditional one. So what's the difference? What's so special about the Ramadan one? And second question is, how has COVID affected Ramadan traditions in Turkey? Obviously last year and this year, obviously people have had to adapt. I know we've made loads of changes here, but it'd be good to hear what changes were made over there as well.
Yeah. First of all, Ramazan pide. The pide most of the time is being cooked and served from the bakeries. But especially in Ramadan, it's being served hot just before iftar, and also smells lovely when it's hot. So people just buy fresh and eat fresh. That's why it makes a difference. The making of the pide is not different actually. It's same style and same ingredients, but it's being consumed fresh. That's how made the difference. Otherwise, you can still buy most of the places. You can still buy from the bakeries the pide, but those pides are not always be fresh because it's being cooked early in the morning. You went there, you buy at 11 o'clock or in the afternoon, so it's not going to be fresh. But during the Ramadan, they do after, for example, Asr time. So just a couple of hours before iftar time. So that's why it's fresh and you feel the taste. So that's the difference. Otherwise, the style is same. And also in normal circumstances, after Ramadan, not all bakeries actually cook pides. So, but Ramadan time, most of them cooks. That is the difference. Obviously, COVID affected a lot, especially last year. In Turkey, whole Ramadan was actually under lockdown, and no one allowed to go to mosque and pray Tarawih or the Isha or the other 5 daily prayers. So even the mosques were closed during the Ramadan last year, whole month. But this year it was partly closed until obviously tomorrow. They are open daily prayer and Tarawih prayers only 8 rakats. Normally in Turkey we pray 20 rakats, and now only allowed 8 rakats in the mosque, and afterwards everybody goes home. So one of the main things is obviously the mosque activities are very limited. People cannot come together and do iftar together. Even families cannot come together, just only whoever lives in the same bubble they come together. So if you want to invite your mom and dad, if he lives apart from you, if he lives separate, then you cannot invite him to your iftar. You cannot share food with him at the same place. That's the main difficulty. So obviously Ramadan is you can have pleasure when you do things together. If you are not together, then obviously doing things alone is not actually giving you pleasure. As I mentioned, for example, Enderun Teravih, how you can actually perform Enderun Teravih is impossible. So because even if you do 8 rakat in mosques, you have limited time. So you just finish your prayer and you go home. You cannot spend further times or extra times in the mosque. Whenever you finish, you go. That's affected a lot. The most importantly, the Ramadan tent or the open iftar, street iftar, or neighborhood iftars all had to be postponed or cancelled, or it cannot be take place anyway. So that's affected quite a lot. Especially vulnerable people have been affected quite a lot. Although the government is doing its best to help those people, even the police and the municipal officers visit those places, houses, people who lives alone or limited mobility. They are actually looked after well, but obviously you can meet their physical needs, but they need emotional support as well. That's the most important thing that we actually missed at this Ramadan.
Thank you. Thanks for that. So the impression I got from Turkish culture is it's all about society and all about culture and meeting up with people.
Yeah.
So I know you mentioned that the media is kind of utilized at this time, so you can try and still maintain that spirit, the Ramadan spirit. So how would you say, what's the best way to maintain the spirit in the individual homes outside of just the media? Like, do you have any opinions on that?
Yeah, of course, especially with the families. If you have young children or children at home, you stay together and do lots of joint activities. For example, come together and read Quran together, read some books or hadith. And also, if you have ability to do something, the musical terms, for example, you do together, you sing ilahis or whatever you can. So try to make sense of being together. So if, for example, everybody goes their room and stay there all day long and just come together during iftar and sahuri times, so that's obviously it's not the way we would like the Ramadan to spend. But find something to share with your bubble, with your people who live together. That's the way how you can do. Obviously, media or the technologies at the moment, you can get lots of things from there. But virtual environment is different than the physical environment. Anything you do physically, then it's better. In here, obviously, in the UK, we are very fortunate. We can go out, we do walking, we spend some time outside. So we can get together with a small number of people. But obviously, you cannot sit and eat together. That's the difficult part of it. So whoever you live with, then make some joint endeavor. That's the best way you can actually make sense of Ramadan.
Thank you. Thanks for that. I definitely think that is a beautiful idea to just kind of come with your family and do the best you can with what you have. So Hawazin has a question on what you were saying. If you can unmute yourself.
Assalamu alaikum. Hi everyone.
Alaikum salam.
Barakallah Fik. Thank you so much for your talk about Turkey. Now we just want to go to Istanbul now because of you. I was in Istanbul a year and a half before with my mom. And subhanAllah, speaking about the mosque, there was so many mosques. So when they do it, then it's just wonderful. Subhanallah, I still remember the effect of many mosques in the same time doing it. Then it just we cannot describe it. Subhanallah, it's just mashallah. And I was about the, like Tarawih, for example. Right now we know it's COVID, unfortunately. Do you know if, for example, mosques are trying to do Tarawih online, for example, to make it through the online way for safety? And usually I was wondering if during Ramadan, because it's very active, etc., do Istanbul or any other places in Turkey, do they organize, for example, a competition for Quran during this period, or not necessarily? It's more focused on Taraweeh and kind of things.
Yeah, I think a good question. Thank you very much. The Azan, especially one of the most important things that I missed from here, especially if you live close to the big Salatin Mosque. Salatin Mosque means Salatin, the sultans who built who wanted to build that mosque. So, for example, Fatih, Süleymaniye, Sultan Ahmed, or when you come to Üsküdar side, Valide Sultan. These are the Salatin Mosque built for the sultans, for example. Especially in those mosques, at least a couple of muezzins actually employed. So they do double azan, for example, at the same time. One of the muezzins start azan, for example, say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Another muezzin says Allahu Akbar, and then so twice. The azan actually called twice in one go. Obviously, in a different maqams. That's wonderful. When you listen to a double azan, we call it chifte azan. So those muezzins are trained for that. You can listen, especially Isha azan and Zuhur azan and Asr. These three has been actually called in Salatin Mosque at double azan. Morning sometimes, but the other three most of the times is being called. You can listen to those ones. You can tune into TRT 1 in Ramadan, from the 1st of Ramadan until the end. There is a competition, Quran competition. It started the 1st of Ramadan and now obviously it's running. Time, in terms of timing, I think it starts 3 hours before the iftar in Turkish time. So that means about 4:30 or 5 o'clock the time in here. So if you tune into TRT 1, TRT 1, and you can watch. That's I was watching for the last couple of weeks, and you can't believe it how talented young Hafiz come to there and recite. Very inspiring. Very inspiring.
Barakallah.
Jazakallah khair. That does sound really beautiful and inspiring. And I think Turkish culture in general, you've got us really wanting to go to Istanbul and Turkey and understand it a little bit better. So another question I have is, you mentioned kind of this idea of 72 nations, that we should view everybody as equal, and then also how Turkish culture is really big on charity and kind of wiping away the debts of people. So since this talk is about British-Turkish relations, how would you say that we can carry that spirit to the UK and just kind of have the same kind of idea in the UK?
Yeah, actually, as British culture and traditions, and in some cases very resembles Turkey Turkish tradition and cultures in terms of living together, because both are empires, or were empires, not are, were empires, and obviously they had many nations under their umbrella. So they know how to live together, and they know how to treat each other. Obviously, in both countries, they are extreme nationalist people, but these are exceptions. It's not the mainstream people. So helping the needy is the one of the most adorable aspect of Turkish culture and traditions. Who, for example, in the past, as I know from the local small towns and villages and medium-sized places, there are people obviously have some lack of abilities, and not some mentally, some physically, but those people never been put into special cares or homes, or they've been looked after by the society. So these people lives in among the society, not secluded in some places. So they may not be mentally healthy, um, physically healthy, but people care about them, and you never know that person is being mentally or physically disabled. People treat them as if he is a normal person. That's one of the adorable principles of Turkish culture and traditions. I like it very much. So that's why in every small town and cities known, one or two or three of is their abdals, or people who have lack of mental abilities. But it's been for them an entertainment in terms of not in the meaning of bullying, but people like them. For example, recently, someone passed away from one of the Turkish cities, very famous. He has a mentally, not able, but he has got a big stick. He uses as if that is a car, and he actually decorates that stick with steering wheel, mirrors, and goes everywhere during the daytime. Goes to a mechanic, says, take it and repair this part, this place, these things. It's broken down, it's not working, and the mechanic takes that stick, keep there, and once the mechanic kept that for a week, and he went there every day and asking what's going on. He said, I am busy, I couldn't have time to deal with it, please come back tomorrow and come. Just this is a joke, but people care that person. So living together with less fortunate, less able people. So that's solidarity is important. And I see that solidarity in this country as well. It may not be that sense, but helping to poorer nations, poorer people is an important. When you do some appeal, you can get lots of responses from different background. So that's one of the good sides of the cultural resemblance between here and Turkey. And also the Muslim charities as well, working together. I know lots of charities, UK charities and Turkish charities doing lots of works in most part of the world. So that's the good thing, and that's good sign.
That's really beautiful. It's beautiful that Turkey has a really inclusive culture. Just one more thing. I'm quite aware that we've got 2 minutes before the Azan. If you could just give us your final thoughts in the last minute or so. Jazakallah khair.
Yeah, actually, we are very thankful to Allah Jalla Jalaluhu, because He has given us the time and life and opportunity to experience this Ramadan as well. And we hope, inshallah, we can meet lots of Ramadan in the future with good health and good spirit and strong iman, inshallah. So we have to be thankful to Allah Jalla Jalaluhu for the bounties He has given to us. Sometimes people forgetting to thank Allah Jalla Jalaluhu. Even thanking to someone is very important. We have a saying that if you don't thank to someone, how you thank to Allah Jalla Jalaluhu? If you are a good person, a good personality, you have to thank whatever good is being given to you by whoever it is. Then this is a way of thanking to Allah Jalla Jalaluhu as well. Inshallah, we all thank Allah Jalla Jalaluhu for whatever He has given to us, and also we share whatever we have with less able people.
Thank you, Jazakallah khair. Thank you for our speaker, Dr. Mehmet Karakas, for the engaging and inspiring, interesting speech. It's been a real pleasure to have you here. Jazakallah khair.
Thank you very
So
much.
in our last minute before the Adhan, I want to say thank you again to Islam Channel, our media partner this year. Also the Arts Council UK for making this event possible. You can read about how we're fighting world hunger with Islamic relief at iruk.co/RTP. Ramadan is the month of charity and giving, so we want to encourage you to support the Ramadan Tent Project and help us continue our work. So your support is virtual for keeping us going as the world transitions back to normal by helping us continue our open iftars and our sunnah fasts and evening events. So you can donate to our website at the Ramadan Tent Project or our launch good at launchgood.com/RTP 2021. And we're going to go to iftar, the Azan soon.
هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمدا الوسيلة والفضيلة وابعثه مقاما محمودا الذي وعدته إنك لا تخلف الميعاد.
Sorry there, we just had some technical issues, but I'd like to thank our guest speaker, Dr. Mehmet Karakas, for the engaging speech. And again, apologies for the technical problem. I hope you have a really good iftar. Jazakallah khair.